I'm Lisa Myers and I'm an independent artist with Seint Makeup. You've probably just received your makeup recently, and I'm going to show you how to set up your palette and how to apply your makeup. I like to take and put them in the order of the way that I apply them. So I usually start with my color corrector. You may not have a color corrector. It just depends on if you have a lot of redness and discoloration in your skin. You may move right on to your main color. But I need a color corrector. So my color corrector is the shade of Mango. So I just pop that in my palette. And that would be the first color that I would apply on my face. After my color correcting, and I like to put on my contour. So my contour is the color Olive. So next we move on to our main shade, which my main shade is the color of Amber. And then you're always going to use a brightening shade. It just gives that final touch to your three-dimensional makeup. That would be your brightening shade, and mine is White Peach, okay? All right, so this would make up my main foundation. Anything that extra that you would like to add, you would put on your second layer. So that's why I always recommend that you go with a little bit larger palette than what you think you need, because you're always going to want to add extra things. If you're like me, you like a lot of different lip and cheek colors and yeah, eyeshadows. So I'm going to use the color of Sandstone here as my blush, one of my favorites. I'm also adding in a Bella bronzer, which is bronzer that I use year round, not just in the summer. I mostly need it this time of year because I'm pale and pasty. One of the last things that I'm going to add to my palette is my Vanilla Dust setting powder. Now you're going to always want to use some kind of a setting spray or a setting powder. Seint has both, but you don't have to use theirs. If there's a particular brand that you like, you can use any brand you want. I do love the Vanilla Dust, and I do love our Seint setting spray as well. Whoops, turn it around there. So I have several that I like. I do like this one. It's from Milani. It's a Charlotte Tilbury dupe, and it works very, very well, and it's very affordable. It's called the Make It Last. I don't have room in here to put all the eyeshadows that I put on my eyes today, but I am going to put this. I've got Revival and Leo are the two main colors that I used. I did use one more. I used Drift, which is a shimmer, but I don't have room in this palette. That's how you would set your palette up. Okay, let's get started on application. I'm choosing to use the blend brush. This is a brush that I use almost every day. It's one of my favorites. And then I start with my color corrector. Like I said before, you may not have a color corrector, and that's okay. If you don't have a lot of discoloration in your skin, then you probably didn't need, I probably did not recommend a color corrector. So I will place color corrector very lightly on the end of my brush, and I'm just going to place this around all the places where I have some redness in my skin, maybe a blemish or so, any discoloration, which is usually back here on my cheeks and down here on my jawline. All right, there's a couple spots I have over here, one up here. All right, and one right there. Just a few little spots there. Less is more with this cream makeup. A little bit goes a very long way. Now that I have applied all of my color correcting, I think we're good. I'll sit back and take a little look. Then I'm going to come in to the contour. All right, and I'm just using the same brush. I'm using this double-ended brush. This is the blend brush, and I'm going to use the small end, and I'm going to tap into that contour, and I'm going to come in just underneath my cheekbone and lightly tap and press that color in there, okay? As you can see, I'm not swiping and smearing with the brushes. I'm just tapping it on lightly, and then I just give it a little flick upwards just to blend it. And you may wonder, contour can be kind of intimidating, but it's really not that hard. You're just going to find that kind of where your natural shadow is on your cheekbones, and we're just accentuating, just making it a little deeper so that it gives you a nice sculpted cheek. The next place that I would contour would be my forehead. So I'm going to tap tapping into that, and then I'm just gonna bring that on around and put that on over here. Get that all on there. And then I'm gonna take the fluffy end of the brush and I'm just gonna lightly blend that up into the hairline so we don't have that sharp line there of color. Just gonna do that. And what this does is this will tend, if you have a very high forehead, then this would help to make your forehead appear to be a little smaller. All right, just lightly blend it so you don't have a harsh line there. All right, next thing, I'm gonna contour my nose. Now I normally do not contour my nose every day, but I'm gonna show you how I do it. And it's actually pretty simple. I always take that small end and kind of pinch it there so I can get a small line. Or you can use, I used to use like the sides of my fingers and do both sides at the same time. There's lots of ways you can do it, and it's really not that hard. Then I'm take just a little bit more and I'm gonna do just underneath my bottom lip. And the reason for this, you'll see here in a second. I just kind of lightly blend that, and it just makes your bottom lip appear to be fuller. Okay, and then I'm going to take the contour, and I'm going to contour right here, because I want to get rid of this, like where you get this saggy, looser skin here, to call it that. Okay, and then I'm just going to lightly, with the other end of the brush, make sure there's not that harsh line there, and just blend that down. Okay, and then, okay, I'm going to move on to my main shade, which is the next color in the palette, which is my main highlight foundation. And I'm just going to tap into that, and I'm going to put that here, I'm going to put it over here, and this is basically going to go where anywhere we didn't put contour, okay, and not where we're going to put blush. And I'm not going to blend it, I'm just placing it, all right? So you can see where I'm placing. Okay, a little bit here on my nose. Going into the brightening shade, which is the last shade, okay? I'm going to go into this brightening shade, tap into that lightly, okay? I'm going to squeeze, pinch that brush together, just like we did before when we did the outsides of our nose, and then I'm just going to take it, so you can see, I'll turn here. I'm just going to run it right down the center. I'm a little crooked there, but that's okay. And then I'm going to go back into that shade. I'm going to put a dot on the inside of each inner corner. I'm going to put a little on the outer corner of each eye. Okay, as you notice for mature eyes, I'm not going to bring this light color all the way into my eye. I'm going to keep it in the inner corner and the outer corner. I like to put just a little there and there. And what we're doing, just a tiny bit on the end of my nose. Just pinch that brush together, do that Cupid's bow, and then the very center of my chin. And that's it. Okay. Then I'm going to flip into my other side of my palette here, and I'm going to get a little bit of this cheek color. I'm going to use my finger. Okay, I'm going to come into this and just get a little bit on my finger, and I'm going to tap 2 dots. Very highly pigmented, so you don't need a lot. Okay, and I don't like to come down real low on my cheeks because I want to create a lifting effect. So you can put your blush on however you want. This, I'm just teaching you the way I like it. Okay, now that I've got all the colors placed, I'm going to take the fluffy end of my blend brush and I'm going to start blending this out lightly, just lightly blending. Okay, and I start with the lighter areas, and then we'll go in, and it's just a pressing and tapping motion, okay? Except for where I got a wide open area that I can lightly blend, okay? All right, and then I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna do above my eyebrows and kind of blend that up into that where I contoured. and then down around the outer corners. And keep that kind of light. Okay, I'm gonna flip my brush over to the small end to do the inner corners of my eyes. And I'm gonna bring that right there and down. Kind of keep it on the inner corner of the eye and the side of your nose. As you notice, I'm not pulling that way under my eye, because if I put that light color right here under my eye, and it'll make all those fine lines and wrinkles pop, and we don't want those to stand out any more than they already do. Okay, easy peasy. Blend that Cupid's bow. Okay, I'm gonna do my nose. I'm just gonna lightly blend that on the tip. And then for this, I'm just gonna lightly flick that up on both sides where I put the contour. Okay. And then come down in the middle. Okay. And if it's just a little too much, take the fluffy end. Here we get to the side here. And just blend it up and feather it out. Last part we do is the cheek color, and I'm just going to lightly take this brush and I'm going to kind of just give it a little swirling motion to bring those 3 dots together. And I'm just going to keep swiping it kind of up and into that contour. Now I'm not bringing it down past there, but just kind of keeping it in that area. And I don't bring it way out here on my cheeks either. I don't care for my blush out there that far. You're a younger gal, you can bring it way out on the apple of your cheeks, but us older gals, we got to keep it back here and keep it kind of higher, because that creates the lift. It makes our faces look lifted. And yeah, then just a little flick up of that contour so it's all blended together. That's it. Like I said, this is a highly pigmented lip and cheek, so it is 3 dots of that goes a long ways, as you can see. I'm just tapping and pressing to get it all blended. Okay. That's all there is to it, guys. So simple. The only other thing I'm going to do is I am going to come into the Bella bronzer. I'm going to get just a little bit of this on my brush. I'm going to warm up my neck. You can put a little bronzer here on your chin. A little bit here in the temples. Since I let my hair go to its natural color of gray, I need a little more warmth in my skin or I look pasty. So I always add in that little touch of Bella. Now we could add illuminators. There's other things that you can add in, but we're doing just the basics. You can see how pretty all that comes together. One last thing. I have lip gloss on already, but I'm going to tap into that Sandstone Lip and Cheek, and I'm going to put a little bit of that on my lips. All right, and then I'm going to come into that Vanilla Dust setting powder, and I'm using the powder brush. It's flat on the end, and I'm just going to get into that powder. I always brush it away from my creams. I don't want it to get in my creams. And the only places that I put powder are just on the inner corners of my eyes and around my nose. Maybe just a little bit here and a little bit here. Yeah, I don't get over crazy with powder because I don't like a powdered look, but I do need to powder around my eyes and the bridge of my nose where my glasses sit, or they will slide all over. And I do kind of the oily areas that you might get a little bit oily, your T-zone. And then I'm going to finish with setting spray. This is the Seint setting spray. All right, and I'm going to just get that spritzed around and let it dry. The only other thing you can do is take your perfector sponge and just lightly press any areas that you have texture, and it'll press the makeup in and take off any excess in case you got a little too heavy. And that is it. That is how we start with our Seint makeup. So if you have any questions, I'm always here to help. That's what I'm here for. Thanks so much.